All right, we are rolling. Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Chris Chong, and thank you for spending part of your day with me. Now here's our agenda for today, just so we're very clear with expectations right up front. Today I want to teach you a simple 4-step process that I've used to achieve amazing results in my life, both personally and financially, over the last 15 years. And what we're going to be discussing today is conceptually very simple, but powerful. And anyone can do this. Young, old, single, married, divorced. It doesn't matter if you're just getting started or if you're stuck. For you, things are going to get better, and it starts today. Does that sound good? Are you excited? I am. I'm excited because I know with 100% certainty that what I'm about to show you is going to make a positive impact on your life. Next, I'm going to give you a sense of confidence where there was once uncertainty. We're going to replace confusion with clarity today and unlock the potential within you. But in order for this to work, I need your help. I need you to turn on your do-it mindset now. So close your eyes for a minute and imagine a control panel in your mind. And on this control panel, there's a switch and it's labeled Do It Mode. I need you to reach out and turn it on now. Feel the toggle. Flip it to the on position. When Do It Mode is turned on, you're going to act on what you learn. You see, learning by itself is not enough to change your circumstances or to get ahead in business or in life. You've got to put what you learn into action in order for things to change. Things aren't going to change for you until you change. So as you watch this webinar, I want you to say, oh, I could use this over here. Or, oh, I'm going to get started with this technique today. I want you to think in terms of the results you want to achieve and the actions you're going to take to achieve those results. You know what kind of people tend to get ahead in life? It's those who put what they have learned into action immediately. You know, even if they screw it up the first time, or the second time, or even the third time, the fact that they take action sets them up for success because eventually they figure it out. You don't learn to swim simply by reading a book, right? You know, sure, reading about it's good before you get started and it helps a lot. But at some point you got to get in the pool, right? Does this make sense? I say this because nothing frustrates me more than giving out a piece of life-changing information. And then I run into you several months later and you're still stuck because you failed to act on the new information you were given. Do you promise to use the information I'm about to give you? I need you to commit to taking action on what you learn today. Do we have a deal? Find the chat box and type in yes now. And if you can't find the chat box or you're watching this as a replay, say yes out loud. And if you haven't done it already, I need you to close your eyes and imagine a control panel in your mind. Maybe for you it looks like an airplane cockpit. Or for me, it's like the touch screen on a Star Trek spaceship or something. Walk up to the control panel and press that button or flip that switch that turns Do It Mode on. Okay, so I've got a question for you. Are you going to take action on what you learned today? Say it out loud with me. I'm going to take action on what I learned today. Great. Now you're probably wondering who I am and how we got here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Chris Chong. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I've been married to my beautiful wife for 10 years, and we have 2 amazing kids. And professionally, I help entrepreneurs grow their companies fast, usually in preparation for selling it or raising additional capital for future growth. But for me, life wasn't always so great. You know, I moved out of my parents' house a few weeks before I graduated high school. It's about $200 in my bank account. I couldn't afford to go to college, and I ended up dropping out of community college after only 1 term. And I remember one day I was walking to class because I didn't even have any money for gas. It was hot, I was all sweaty and gross, and I felt like I was never going to make it. I had $35 in my bank account that day. And it was around that time that I had got fired from 4 different jobs in a 2-year period. And 2 of those times it was my fault, 2 of those times the company went out of business. Then a couple years later, I was let go from the same company, not once, but twice. Since then, I've started over a dozen different businesses in the last 15 years, and every single one of them failed in one way or another. Now, some of them did make money. There were 2 that made quite a lot of money while they were working, but they only worked for a couple years before something changed in the market or the company imploded. And my personal life back then was a disaster as well. My dad wasn't around when I was in junior high or high school, so I didn't really understand how to interact with women at all. I don't think I could even get a date until I was like 20. And the only thing that made that possible was I had to go buy a DVD training course on dating. It was that bad. It's a miracle I even have a family, because when I met I've been doing the things that I'm going to share with you today for about 10 years now, and things are going pretty well. I wake up excited for the day. I'm working on projects that are interesting and financially rewarding. I've got plenty of free time. Money's not really an issue anymore. Yeah, sure, I'd like more. Who wouldn't? I'm not quite driving that car I want to be, which would be a Lamborghini, and I'm not living in that house I want to be living in yet, which would be a house on a lake. But I see a vision and a process to get there. And lately, everything's going pretty well, and it seems to be getting better every month as I continue to grow and apply the things I'm learning. But today's not about me, it's about you. And you might notice that in my story, I didn't share a lot of my success stories. And that's because sometimes people hear the stories and they say stuff like, well, that's great, Chris. That's great for you, but I could never do all that. I'm not a marketer. I'm not a sales professional. I'm not in business. All these things. I'm not a natural at that. You're a natural at that. And I hear these things, and it's just simply not true. Let's talk about natural ability for just a second. You know, you might naturally be good at one thing or another, and that's fantastic. But is it that you're naturally good at that thing, or is it that you naturally like doing that thing? So naturally, you're going to put more time and energy into it, which naturally makes you better at it, right? I mean, how about this? Can you think of something that at one time you were not good at, but now you are? Yeah, of course you can, right? Everyone can. How does a kid learn to talk and walk? You know, they're not good at walking and talking initially. It takes some time, but they get there with practice. So doesn't that prove that it is indeed possible to achieve more than what you've achieved in the past, or what you're currently achieving? I think it does. Yes, you know, you can achieve more than what you've achieved in the past, and I think you have an obligation to your fellow man, or maybe if you don't want to believe in that, maybe at least to your family, to do so. You know, my hope for you is that after this webinar, you will feel confident that you can get what you want in business and in life, and that you'll have clarity on how to get there, and that you'll put the process into action immediately. Imagine looking back 90 days from now, and you've made measurable progress towards your goal. Your spouse and friends are starting to take notice. You feel more confident in the direction your life is heading. You understand that it's a process, and even though the process might be uncomfortable now, you feel good about it, and you start to embrace the struggle, because it's moving you closer and closer to your goal. You know, it's like working out. You start to, your muscles are tired and it's an effort to go to the gym. But after a while, you start to enjoy it, and then actually you start to miss it when it doesn't happen. Yeah? The picture's starting to become clear, isn't it? Eventually, your uncomfortable feelings are replaced by excitement, which moves you faster and faster towards achieving the outcomes you want in business and in life. Now, I realize that in the past, you may have set out to achieve something and failed. And that's okay. But you know what? This time it's going to be different. And here's why. It's because success is a lot like cooking. You can have all the best ingredients, but without the right process, you're not going anywhere. You can have the best recipe, but with low quality ingredients, it's still not going to come out right. Or maybe you don't even have all the right ingredients, so you're making substitutions and leaving stuff out. It's not going to come out right. Or maybe you have the right ingredients and you know the recipe, but you don't have the right tools for the job. You're trying to mix it by hand when the recipe says you need a food processor. It's not going to come out right. Does this make sense? My objective for today is to give you the ingredients, show you the recipe, and show you how to get the tools. In our short time together, I'm going to try to distill 15 years of hustling and grinding into something you can put into action immediately. And at the end of this webinar, you're going to understand the process for achieving what you want to achieve. And if you desire, you'll be able to start the process immediately. Fair enough? All right, you know what? Actually, we're going to start the process on this webinar. Are you ready? Awesome. Winners versus losers. Okay, so what is it that separates the winners from the losers? I'm about to reveal the secret, and you might say, Chris, you can't say losers. We're all winners here. You know, that's really harsh. Don't talk about winners and losers. Well, hold on a minute. I'm talking about the game of life here. And in the game of life, you're not competing against others. You are competing against yourself. Okay? Write that down. You're not competing against others. You are competing against yourself. So don't start comparing yourself to others. Don't even go there. You're competing against yourself. Okay? So question. Are you ready to become your best you? I hope you are. Because how sad would it be to get to the end of your life and realize at some point you basically stopped growing in skill or wisdom, achievement, compassion, faith, health, wealth, relationships? Let me ask you a hard question. Think back to what you were doing a year ago. Has your life improved? Or is it about the same? Or is it worse? Are you stuck? Are you going backwards? I meet a lot of people with big dreams and ambitions, and I'm genuinely interested in what people choose to spend their life and time pursuing, because I'm a curious guy. And I find it interesting when I ask how their ventures are going, and unfortunately, a lot of times, zero progress has been made. Month after month after month, they're still just thinking about it. You see, there's a big difference between a dream and a goal. There's 4 differences to be exact. The main difference is that a goal is written down. A goal has a date it will be achieved by. A goal is thought about every day. And a goal has a reward attached to it. Does this make sense? Good. Yet for many of us, our goals are not written down. And for many of us, our goals don't have a date. They're just going to happen someday in the future. And for many of us, our goals are not placed where we can see them every day and think about them every day. And finally, many of us do not have a reward attached to the goal. Have you made one or more of these mistakes in the past? It's okay, we all have. You know, it's not your fault. They don't teach this stuff in school. But now you know better, right? Now the last step, the reward step, can be a little bit confusing because sometimes the goal is the reward, right? Like sometimes you might have a goal like, I want to buy my new car before my 40th birthday and pay cash. Or I want to take my family on a 7-day vacation to Alaska or Hawaii or the Caribbean, and I want to do it next summer, 2019, right before my kids start school. In those examples, the goal is the reward, right? And here's one where the goal is not the reward. You say, I want to lose 10 pounds before my sister's wedding in August. And maybe you need to attach a reward. My reward is I get to buy a new wardrobe. When you write down a specific goal and attach a date and think about that goal every day, your mind begins to formulate a plan to achieve your goal. It happens automatically. That's the beauty of it. All you have to do is start the process. The rest will happen automatically. Now there's some work involved to make that happen faster, but just the process, getting started is probably where most people even fail to start, right? So do you think you could write down a goal, attach a date, and spend a few minutes thinking about it every day? Of course you can. Anyone can do that. It's very simple. Write this down. The process of getting what you want in life starts by setting a goal. Because how can you get what you want if you haven't clearly defined what you want, right? So you say, Chris, hey, I just want to be wealthy. Okay, well, let's unpack that. What does wealth even mean? And when I Google wealth, it says the definition is an abundance of valuable possessions or money. So which is it that you want? You want an abundance of valuable possessions, an abundance of money? Both? But you see, even this definition lacks a tremendous amount of clarity, right? I mean, what good is money without health? What good is wealth without time? You know, a question for you. How much would you sell your legs for? Or your hands? If I wrote you a check for $1 million, would you cut off your hands? How about 2 million? Right? It's sick, right? It's a sick line of thinking, I know. But keep going with me here for a moment. How about time? If I wrote you a check for $1 million, would you be my slave 24/7? And do every single thing I told you to do for the next 10 years? In fact, I actually wish you'd take me up on that, because I tell you exactly what you need to do, and you go out and make $200,000 per year, and I double my money, right? How about this? Would you go to prison for 10 years if you were guaranteed $1 million at the end? It's $100,000 per year, right? More than a lot of people make. You can do whatever you want with your time, anything this prison system allows. You just, you're not going to have any freedom. Choices are going to be defined for you. Where you sleep, where you can go, what you will eat, who you're going to hang out with. All of those choices are made for you when you're in prison. So clearly, being wealthy is more than financial. So what does it mean to you? I'm not going to tell you what it means to me. This is about you. You got to define, what does that mean to you? What do you want in business and in life? Okay, will you promise me that you will take 10 minutes before the end of today and write down one goal on a piece of paper and then tape that piece of paper to your bathroom mirror? Promise me now. Say, yeah, I'm going to do it. Say, I will write down a goal today. If you're watching the replay, just say it out loud. On the webinar, chat it right now. Chat me what your goal is going to be. Just to say, I want this, I want that. Don't worry about the date yet. We'll get to that in a second. Just what do you want? Put it in the chat box now. He said, I'm going to save, here's one. I'm going to save up $10,000 by December 31st. That's a great goal. I will lose 5 pounds before my sister's wedding, August 30th, 2018. That's a goal. I will pay off my credit card debt before December 1st, 2018. Perfect. That's a goal. And put the exact amount too. Whatever that amount is. I'm going to pay whatever, $5,432 before December 31st or 1st, whatever your goal is, right? Does that make sense? Good. Writing down your goal and looking at it every day starts the process. And by the way, the best place to put your goal, it's on your cell phone's unlock screen. That way you're going to see it probably 10 to 50 times every day. I keep my number 1 goal on my cell phone on the unlock screen, and the rest are taped to my wall above the computer monitor or on my bathroom mirror. Okay, now we can move forward. So once your goal is set, getting what you want in business and life is a simple process. And this process cuts years off the time it takes to achieve your goal and makes everything 1,000 times easier. So if you're checking your email, you're tuned out of the webinar, now's the time to hop back on, pay attention, this is important. When you hear about people turning around their circumstances in under a year, it's usually because they're following this process. So let's take a moment right now and actually start the process. Let's start the process by writing down a goal right now. Just write down the first thing that comes to mind, and it does need to be written down on a piece of paper. Let's keep it simple. Go get a pen, go get a paper, write it down. Get a note card, just rip out a piece of paper out of your notebook, take a piece of paper out of your printer, or just gonna write it down. Write down the first thing that comes to mind that you want. And don't think too hard about this. This is, you probably already know what it is. This is just a practice run. You don't need to make this a big deal. Just put it down. Something, anything, just put it down. Write down what you want to achieve and attach a date you will achieve it by. Okay, now I want you to write down how you're going to reward yourself when you achieve this goal. And the reward should probably be appropriate for what the goal is. Okay, so don't say I want to get a new job and I'm going to buy a Lamborghini or whatever. I'll give you a moment. This shouldn't take more than 30 seconds. Goal, write down your goal, write down the date you're going to achieve it by, and be realistic. Give yourself time to grow and time to achieve it. Things take time. That's part of the process. You got to learn things take time. You bake a cake. It takes an hour or two to bake it, right? You got to do all the prep work, and then you put it in the oven and you wait. It takes some time. That's how this works. All right, write down the goal, write down the date you're going to achieve it by, write down the reward that you're going to give to yourself when you achieve it. My goal earlier this year was to get comfortable presenting and speaking on camera. And I started the process by writing down that goal on a piece of paper. And then I taped that piece of paper to my wall above my computer, and I would see it multiple times per day. And I actually achieved it a lot faster than I thought. I thought it was going to take a whole year, and it actually ended up taking 3 months. So that was awesome. Step 2. Once your goal is written down, you're going to need to define who you must become in order to achieve your goal. So write that down. Define who I must become in order to achieve my goal. Write it right underneath your goal. And if your goal is to lose weight, and remember that goal is going to say I would lose 5 pounds before my sister's wedding on August 31st, and I'm going to reward myself with a new wardrobe or whatever. You might need to become a person who counts calories. And you might need to write that down over and over again on the piece of paper every day to program yourself to think it's true. Anything you repeat over and over again will eventually become true of yourself. So if you say, I'm a person who counts calories, I am a person who counts calories, I am a person who counts my calories, eventually you will become a person who counts your calories. But it takes time, but you just keep doing this every day. I count the calories of what I eat, and I do not exceed 2,000 calories per day. I count the calories of what I eat, and I do not exceed 2,000 calories per day, or whatever it is, whatever your number is. And you got to figure out what it's going to take to get to your goal, but you figure that out. And I say it over and over again, and I write it over and over again. Or maybe with this goal, you might need to become a person who spends 30 minutes or more in the gym every day. I spend at least 30 minutes in the gym every day. I spend at least 30 minutes in the gym every day. And you might need to become a person who wakes up an hour earlier every day so that you can get to the gym for 30 minutes without having to sacrifice friend or family or work time. And then you might need to say, I wake up excited for the day at 5:45 a.m. I wake up excited for the day at 5:45 a.m. I wake up excited for the day at 5:45 a.m. I've personally had to battle with this in the alarm clock over the last 6 months. I used to be a person that routinely went to bed around midnight and woke up around 8:30. And it was very difficult for me to start work before 9:30 in the past. Now I generally wake up before 6 a.m. and I am on my computer being productive or exercising by 6:30. And it took about 6 months to get there. Not wanting to get out of bed, waking up to the alarm clock and hitting snooze 5 times. And sometimes I'd be tired all day long. But I kept at it, and now I naturally wake up before 6 a.m. and I've got a lot more energy. Let's do a relationship goal. If your goal is to improve the relationship between you and your spouse, you're going to have to become a person who likes doing whatever it is she likes or he likes. For me, it's salsa dancing. She loves it, I don't. I'm still working on that one. Maybe I need to say to myself, I'm a person who enjoys going out dancing. I enjoy dancing. I'm a good dancer. I feel happy when I go dancing. Or maybe something easier. Maybe you're going to need to become a person who has the discipline required to put away your cell phone when you get home. But you say, Chris, I need to be near my cell phone in case there's a work emergency. Well, yeah, maybe, but I don't think you want to get me started on that, because if you can't leave your work or your business or your job alone for 4 hours, then I would say you're doing a pretty crappy job managing it. A well-run business does not require 24-hour attention. In fact, the better you run your business or your job or your clients or whatever you do for income, the longer you can leave it alone for. Isn't that the whole point of being in business? Right? To create something that gives you excess time, excess free time, and excess money. So if you feel like you're always tied to your phone or your email or whatever it is, you seriously need to stop and evaluate what you're doing, because you're doing something wrong. You're not supposed to be a slave to your phone or your email or your clients or your customers or your business or whatever. It's okay to have some downtime. In fact, you need some downtime. And that was one of my goals as well earlier this year, was to walk out of my office every day at 4 p.m. and just be done with work for the rest of the evening. Now, not done with my work for myself, because I like to spend some time every night working on myself, my mindset, my attitude, this kind of stuff we're talking about right now, I don't consider that work. Work for me is delivering things to other clients, to you, things that other people will consume. Right? Okay, so step 2, let's say it out loud. I define who I must become in order to achieve my goal. Now, think about who you must become in order to achieve your goal. Will you need to become more disciplined in a certain area of your life in order to achieve your goal? And what area would that be? Or maybe it's not a discipline issue. Maybe it's a skills issue. Maybe you need to learn some new skills. What skills must I master in order to achieve my goal? Or maybe not master, maybe just become competent. Competence gets you a long way in life, just being good at something. You don't have to be a master, just competent. What skill would that be? Now turn it into a positive statement that describes who you will become. Write that positive statement down right underneath your goal. Let's write it down. Write down a positive statement describing who you will become right now. I'm a wise manager. I'm a persuasive salesperson. I am a successful entrepreneur. I'm a caring father. I'm a compassionate husband. I'm disciplined at what I eat. I'm disciplined at my exercise. Write it down over and over and over again. Will you need to set aside a certain amount of time every day or weekly in order to achieve your goal? How much time is that going to take? And what's the frequency? Is it daily? Is it weekly? It should probably be daily. Daily's the best. Maybe even twice a day is the best if you can manage it. I know some people are pretty busy, but if it's really important, twice a day is really excellent. 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Take 15 minutes to focus on your goal and what it's going to take to achieve that goal for 15 minutes after you eat. Monthly, way too long. You need to find a way to set aside time daily or weekly. So you might write, I enjoy exercising 30 minutes or more daily. I enjoy exercising 30 minutes or more daily. I enjoy counting up the calories that I eat every day, and I do not exceed 2,000 calories. I enjoy eating healthy foods. Again, for maximum success, I'd write that down on a piece of paper 50 times and then immediately go do it every day until I get the outcome I want to achieve. So question for you, what's better than learning from your past failures? And this is a trick question, by the way. What's better than learning from your past failures? It's to learn from someone else's failures, right? Which brings us to our third step. Find someone like you who has achieved what you want to achieve. And I'm going to say it again because this one's a little bit tricky. It's a 2-step. You need to find someone who is like you and who has achieved what you want to achieve. And this is where 90% of the people get stuck. They look at someone who has achieved what they want to achieve and they say, oh, that's great for that person, but I'm not like them. I'm not creative like Steve Jobs was. I'm not good at business like Bill Gates. I'm not good on camera like Oprah. And the list can go on and on and on, and it's all just a bunch of nonsense. That's why you have to find someone who is like you and who has achieved what you want to achieve. And by like you, I mean they have the same personality. They have the same struggles maybe, or had the same struggles. They came from the same background as you. And ideally, this person needs to be someone who has an e-learning course or a book or a training program. And this was actually very, very difficult for me. And like many, I was stuck here for a long time. Not a lot of people know this, but I'm naturally an introvert. And I have to learn how to enjoy being on stage and speaking to audiences. And to me, it's a lot of work. I don't want to do it. It makes me tired. And when I saw all these other successful people speaking at events, and they have so much charisma and energy, and I thought to myself, man, that's great for them, but I'm not like them. I could never be like that. That's not who I am. And then one day I came across someone who is exactly like me. He's just like me and has achieved what I want to achieve. The first time I heard him speak, I thought to myself, wow, this guy sounds like me. I even told my wife, I said, Kirsten, if you ever wonder what goes on inside my head, my self-talk, what do I sound like? You just listen to this guy. This is what's going on in my head all day long, is this type of conversation and these types of thoughts. The things he was saying sound very familiar to me. And he actually got into the business the same way I got into business. He's in the same line of business. He's studied the same experts I study, and he's achieved many of the same things I want to achieve, and more of the things than I want to achieve. I'll say I've achieved some of the things he's achieved, and he's much further down his career, much more advanced. But you know what? He's actually only 3 years older than I am. So now I know with 100% certainty that if I put in the same level of work that he's put in, I could expect to achieve similar results. If he can do it, so can I. When you find someone who's like you and who's achieved what you want to achieve, everything becomes a whole lot easier. And it's because you can finally come to terms with the reality. Maybe we'll call it the cold, hard truth. Are you ready? You gotta promise me you can handle it. Can you handle the truth? If you're on the webinar, chat in your chat box, say, I can handle the truth. If you're watching the replay, say, I can handle the truth out loud. Say, I promise I can handle the truth. Okay, here it is. The only thing holding you back is yourself. I might even get where I want to go faster and with less hassle because now I can learn from someone else's journey, which brings me to the final secret. Once you've set a goal and defined who you need to become to achieve your goal, and once you've found a person who is like you and has achieved what you want to achieve, the final step is you need to ask for or purchase their advice and follow it. And I don't know if you know this, but successful people like to talk about what it takes to get more success. And I'd say it's probably one of their favorite topics. And successful people will also pay money to hear other people who are successful talk about how they achieve their success. And they're willing to pay lots of money for this. It's very normal for successful people to pay $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, even $25,000 to learn success strategies from others. Just the other day I was at a conference and there was 2,000 people who paid between $500 and $2,500 to hear 5 multi-millionaires talk about how to become more successful for 3 days. And in fact, the person who promoted the event, as one of my clients, I know he makes around $4 million a year and has no problem dropping 25 grand to go to a 3-day event to learn success strategies in business or marketing. Ultra successful people, they do that. It's a very normal thing. Now, I'm not saying you need to start there. You can start small. There's plenty of great books on Amazon for $20 you can go buy and spend 8 to 12 hours learning from someone through their written word. And there's some fantastic e-learning courses available for $50, $99, $250 a month that are available where you can learn from successful people via their video training. It's a fantastic opportunity. Ultra successful people, and these are the ones whose advice you should be taking, usually understand that they can make the biggest impact in the world by creating a training program or writing a book, right? They understand that, and the reason they understand it is because on their journey to success, they've bought hundreds or thousands of books and gone to hundreds or, let's say, dozens or hundreds of seminars and have bought dozens or hundreds of training programs. So it only makes sense that once you find someone who's like you and who has achieved what you want to achieve, that you buy their book or their course. Think about someone making $1 million a year or more. If that person works 40 hours per week like everyone else, their time is worth $500 per hour. So let me ask you this. Does it make sense to go buy an hour of their time for $500? Or should you just buy their book for $20 or their e-learning course for $100 or go to their seminar for $1,000? Much more efficient just to buy their course or their book and learn from them. Having developed a couple programs for myself and for my clients, I can tell you that for every hour of training in an online course or every hour of reading a book, that probably represents about 100 hours of real world experience, and then probably another 10 hours of figuring out how to condense that experience into something that anyone can understand and implement immediately. You think about like this webinar you're on right now. I just pull this out of my pocket. This thing took about 40 hours to write and figure out what points I'm going to make and rework the points to make them understandable. It's 1,000 times cheaper, easier, and faster to learn from someone who's already achieved what you want to achieve than trying to figure it out on your own. So, you should definitely take advantage of that, given the fact that these courses are all over the internet and these books are all over Amazon. It's very easy to find them. Okay, there you go. That's my process for getting what you want in business and in life. All right, let's recap what we've learned. Number 1, in the game of life, there are winners and there are losers, but there is only one player, and it's you. In the game of life, you're not competing against others, you're competing against yourself. Number 2, we learned that many of us stop growing at some point in our lives, and that's when we tend to become stuck in a rut. And setting a goal is a great way to get out of that rut. Number 3, we learned that a goal must be written down. It must have a date attached to it. It must be thought about every day, and there must be a reward. Number 4, we learned that setting a goal also kicks off the process of getting what you want in business and life automatically. Number 5, we learned that you can easily speed up that process manually, first by defining the person you must become in order to achieve your goal, second by finding someone who is like you and who has achieved what you want to achieve over and over again when you're driving or in the shower or working out. Number 7, I showed you why 80% of the general population gets stuck here and why it's so crucial that you find someone who is like you and who has achieved what you want to achieve. It's not one or the other. You absolutely have to have both. And finally, you took the first step in the process. You put the process into action by writing down a goal. Now, even if you use just a fraction of what we've covered today, don't you feel like you've taken a gigantic leap forward? Do you feel like our time together on this webinar has been well spent? Do you feel more confident that you can get what you want in business and in life? Do you have more clarity on what you must do in order to get what you want in business and in life? Can you see how just taking 90 seconds to write down your goal, attach a date to it, think about it every day, and attach a reward can make a positive impact on your future? Are you excited to make a go of this and to see what wonderful things start to happen in your life? I have absolute confidence that you can take everything we've covered here today and on your own go out and put it into action and get results that you previously thought were not possible. And I'm certain that with just the information we've covered on this webinar today, left on your own, with your own resources and time and effort, you could make a go of this in a way most people will never be able to. And if that were your only option, it would be a worthy pursuit. But what if there was another option? An option where you could learn what I've learned directly from the person I learned from. What if instead of this one-time, 1-hour webinar, you could get daily inspiration and motivation? Imagine every morning a brand new video to help you start your day on the right track. Well, it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you 6 Minutes to Success by Bob Proctor. It's a course that I've been going through, and if you like what you've seen on this webinar, you're going to love this because a large percentage of today's training is from 6 Minutes to Success. Every morning you get a 6-minute lesson containing the inspiration you need to earn more money, create thriving relationships, start a wildly successful business, lose any amount of weight, and live a more productive and fulfilling life. Every morning, Bob's going to share with you new thought-provoking, mind-expanding ideas, along with an exercise to get you taking action every day. You see, daily learning is critical to success. I don't know if you realize this, but people forget about 40% of what they've learned in 20 minutes, and about 90% of what they've learned after a week. And 30 days later, most people have forgotten 98% of what they've learned. Which is why this program is so fantastic. You get a small dose of practical and inspirational success steps each and every day. Tested, proven steps that are going to allow you to earn more money, create thriving relationships, start a successful business, achieve your perfect weight, and live a more fulfilling, productive life. And I love this because you don't have to think about it. You just have to do it. Every morning, can you carve out 6 minutes before you go to work? Now, you can even listen to the 6 minutes in your car while you're driving to work. You can download the MP3s to your phone. Now, many people will gladly spend thousands of dollars to go to success seminars where they get 2 to 3 days of knowledge and inspiration, and I think that's awesome. It has value. It has its place. But remember, 30 days later, you're going to have forgotten about 90% of it. But here, with 6 minutes, you have the opportunity to avoid all the hassle of requesting time off from work, getting on a plane, booking hotels, dealing with transportation, spending thousands of dollars, being away from your family. You can get all the value of these success seminars with very little cost and hassle. Bob does a better job explaining what 6 minutes to success is all about, so I'll show you this video.
Hello there and welcome. It's Bob Proctor with your first 6 minutes to success video. Just think, just 6 minutes a day, and it has the potential to change your whole life. Change your income, change your relationships, change how you feel about yourself. That's a pretty big promise, isn't it? But it's a promise that we can deliver. You see, I have studied this for over 50 years, and I know that you and I are creatures of habit. And we get up in the morning and we just motor into a behavioral pattern, and we do much the same every day. 6 minutes to success is designed to stop you right in your tracks and get you to think of one idea that you could use today that would improve the quality of your life, that will really serve you well. Here in the Proctor Gallagher Institute, we're forever thinking of how we can make our product to serve our clientele better than we did in the past. And this is one of the best ideas we've got. Now, you've already received, as a new registrant into 6 Minutes to Success, you've received a starter kit that is loaded with some great information. Hopefully you've watched all the videos, but if you haven't, that's okay. But make sure you get in and watch them. And don't just watch them once, watch them over and over and over again. Now, at the end of each day's lesson, you're going to be given a directive. Think of this or do this. Think of that or do that. Simple little exercises. It's not going to take you a lot of time. It's not going to give you a brain hernia, but it's a little lesson that'll help you as you go through the day. So how do you get started? Well, I believe the way to get started is make a decision right now that you are going to get up every morning, and watch this video is going to get priority. You see, if you miss one day, you have a tendency to miss another day, and then you've never changed the habit. And you do have to change your habits. One of the habits you have to change is that you're going to form a new habit, and so it's going to take away from something you were doing that was probably a waste of time anyway, something that wasn't really serving you well. And what we want to do is cause you to expand your mind, really look at your whole world from a totally different perspective. Look at yourself from a totally different perspective. And you know something? If you watch the movie Secret, I said you'll get to a point where you can kiss yourself. That's our objective. We want you to fall in love with you. That's not conceit. That's a healthy respect for the fact that you're God's highest form of creation. You're going to love 6 Minutes to Success. Make up your mind right here at the start that you're going to turn it into a habit, because we're going to show you how to get results that stick. It's not just a blip on the screen like many other programs bring about. No, no. This is something through repetition, through the right information, you are going to get results that stick. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you.
Isn't that awesome? I've been doing this for a while and I love the material. Now, normally you could expect to pay $1,000 or more for this knowledge and inspiration. In fact, if you want, you can go to Bob Proctor's next seminar. It's in LA and the price is $1,000. How would you like to try it out for 2 weeks for just $1? Well, you can. I've got a special link for you that's going to give you 2 weeks of access to this material for only $1. And then after that, if you choose to continue, it's simply $99 a month, no contract. Cancel anytime by sending a simple email. You don't even have to get on the phone. Okay, so now we're going to have some Q&A time. You can ask me anything you want about what I've covered or Bob Proctor's course, 6 Minutes to Success. So go ahead and find the question box and type in your questions now. Ask them. Ask them right now. I'll get them answered for you right now. Okay, cool. Dean's asking, what's in 6 Minutes to Success? You know what? Maybe it'd be better if I just log in and show you what you're going to get, because I have access to the screen share here. Give me a second. Okay, when I click the sign up link, here's the order page. You put in your billing information and make sure to type your email address in correctly, because it's going to email you your login info and password. When you get that login info, you just click this link here and you type in your email address and the password it gave you, and it's going to look like this. Now the cool thing is that there are other courses available too. So maybe after you've done 6 Minutes to Success for a while and you want to move on to a more advanced course, they will all live in this one website, so it's very easy to deal with. You come in here, you click the 6 Minutes to Success icon, now you're inside the course. And there's a couple things I want to point out. First, this is today's lesson, and it changes every day automatically. So this is where you're going to go every morning to get your daily inspiration, and they're also going to email you a reminder every morning. Over here is where we have the Success Startup Kit. And this is really cool. It's like a mini seminar. You've got 4 training videos plus a goals workbook and weekly action planner to help you on your road to achievement. Now remember how I said you need to write your goals down? The action planner is really going to help you out with that process. But what I really want to show you is the goals workbook. So over the years I've gone through a lot of training, and when I see the same concepts taught over and over and over again, I know it's probably true and that it's going to work. Otherwise people wouldn't continue to talk about it. So I'm super excited. Check this out on page 19. Who do I need to become in order to achieve my goal? Does that sound familiar? All right, we talked about this earlier in the webinar. Check out on page 26, the goal card. This is where you write down your goal and the date you will achieve it by. Cool, huh? All right, now let's check out the video library. Look at all these videos you have access to. These are all the daily training videos from the past. So if 6 minutes isn't enough for you, or if you want to accelerate your learning, you can watch one of these videos in the morning, in the evening, or at lunch. You know, or maybe you want to focus on multiple goals at once. That's fun. I like that. Like maybe you've got an income goal and a health goal and a relationship. Well, you can do that here. Look how they're all categorized. Isn't that awesome? Now here's another cool feature. You can bookmark the lessons that you find especially powerful. And here's a few of the lessons that I like to listen to over and over again. And on top of all of that, every month, Bob does a live webinar where he answers your questions. They send out an email a few days before the webinar, and you can just reply to it with whatever your questions are, or you can ask for advice on any situation, and it'll get covered on the webinar. The cool thing about this is that every webinar is archived as well, so you can go back in time and listen to any of them. Plus, I think it's especially cool to hear what other people are asking and to know what they're dealing with in life. And I don't know why this is, but I find it comforting to know that other people's experience the same challenges I face. And I don't know, maybe it's because on social media everyone's fronting and putting up a highly edited version of themselves that only includes wins. I don't know. But I really like these monthly webinars because I feel like people are getting real. There's also several books included, many of which are classics like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Cool. So that's what's inside the members area. Next question. Okay, Joe's asking, is there a contract? How does the pricing work? It's very simple. When you go to ehotleads.com/6min and sign up, you're going to get a 2-week trial for just $1. And then after that 2 weeks, the membership's going to be $99 per month. And there's no contract. You can keep it for as long as you like. You cancel it after you've achieved what you want to achieve, or if you move on to another program. Totally easy to cancel. You just send them an email. Just reply to the welcome email that you get when you sign up and say, hey, I want to cancel. It's not for me anymore. They'll cancel it for you. It's very easy. Jennifer's asking, could I buy this program for my employees? Yes. Jennifer, in one of my past businesses, it was an e-learning company. I grew it from $2 million to $10 million annual revenue in under 3 years. And during that time period, I spent about $100,000 of their money on employee training, and it paid off big time. We ended up selling that company for over $25 million. 100% worth it. Now, at the time, we were using Sandler Sales and Management Training, which is $2,000 per person up front for the first 8 weeks, and then it's $500 per month per person after that. But, we did make multiple millions of dollars, so, you got to spend a little bit of money to make some money. But I'm a big fan of employee training and professional development. And recently I've come across a couple other sales training programs that I think are a little bit easier to teach and implement, and they cost a little bit less. So if you're looking specifically for sales training, send me a message. I'd be happy to give you a recommendation. But I definitely recommend 6 Minutes to Success for employee training. It is universally applicable in any industry. And it's also universally applicable to both professional and personal development. The topics and concepts that are taught will help strengthen your professional and your personal life and the lives of your employees. I think it's a wonderful program. And you know what? Let me talk about a hidden benefit from having a great employee training program or using 6 Minutes to Success with your employees. The hidden benefit that not a lot of employers realize before they get into it is that offering this type of training to your employees really helps them get their personal lives together, which leads to a surprising increase in productivity at work. So you'd be surprised how much of your money as an employer is wasted by your employees being distracted with their personal issues at work. Anyone who's had more than 5 employees knows what I'm talking about. They come in all stressed out because their marriage is falling apart. So all it takes is one angry customer and they're out of commission emotionally for the rest of the day because they're right on the edge of having a breakdown. I've seen that happen multiple times in companies where we had 40 to 60 employees. So we're not talking mega companies, but I mean, if you're seeing these problems in a company of 40 people, just imagine how much more it's going to be in a company of 400 or 4,000. It adds up. Employees come in, they might come in because they're all stressed out about their finances because their finances are horrible. And because their finances are horrible, they're working side jobs on the weekend because they can't get their finances under control. And it's not because you're not paying them a fair wage. That's the funny part is I run into people all the time who are making 70, 80, even 100K per year at their job, and they're basically broke. If these people fell down a staircase and had to take a month off, they would basically be behind on every bill. It's a very common and unfortunate situation in America today. And, it's the same people who come in Monday morning and they basically accomplish nothing because they're so worn out from working their side hustle on the weekend. It's not a good situation. So, yes, I absolutely think that buying 6 Minutes to Success for your employees is an amazing thing to do. One of the best things you can do for your employees as an employer, and ensuring that they start work every day doing the training. That's the keys. You don't just buy it for them. You buy it for them and you say, okay, I'm buying this for you and I'm paying you to take the training. So every morning before you open up your email and get started on the day, before you check your voicemail, before you start interacting with customers, before you start calling your sales prospects, I want you to take 6 minutes and go through this training and think about it through the day. I think within 90 days, you'll probably notice a measurable increase in productivity. And plus your employees are going to appreciate it. You let them know, it really lets them know you want them to be successful in their career and their personal lives. And that's why you're not only paying for the training, but you pay them to take the training as well. And they start each workday with the training, and then you recommend that they do the training as well on their weekdays. Not for pay, but because they want to. But at the minimum, you got 5 days out of 7. That's better than 0 out of 7, right? And that's the key point. You start your day every day with training. And I mean, just think about the opposite for a second. And do you think you would be a happy, productive person if you started every day with a fight with your spouse or arguing about money? Compare that to starting your day thinking about how you can succeed in this or that, or by spending 6 minutes focusing on the positive outcomes you're going to achieve today, right? Does this make sense? Great, awesome. Okay, I got a question from Cynthia. Cynthia says, Chris, I've tried a lot of stuff in the past, but nothing seems to stick. Why is that, and will it be different with this program? Well, Cynthia, usually when people ask that question, it's because they're jumping from thing to thing, or there's some sort of limiting belief that needs to be worked on. And, I had similar issues that I had to overcome. For a long time, I thought if I could just get better at my skills, then I could break out of an income rut I was stuck in. For several years, I was stuck right around 100K per year. I'd have a good year, I'd bring in 140, and then next year I'd be back down to 100. And another good year, I'd be up to like 120, 130, and then back down. And, it was exactly what what some people experience with the weight loss, that roller coaster. And ultimately, it was a limiting belief. It was that I didn't see myself as someone who could consistently make more than 100K per year. And part of that was because I didn't really know anyone who made more than 100K per year. And I definitely did not know anyone who was making more than 100K per year that was just like me. Sure, I knew a couple people that were making 200 or 300 a year, and they were a lot older and a lot wiser, and they were doctors or lawyers or engineers, and they went to college. And I am none of those things. I'm a young guy, not a doctor, lawyer, engineer. I did not go to college. And in fact, at that time, the highest earner I knew was a guy who worked for a company that designed the machines that make iPhones, or that assemble iPhones, I should say. And he was the VP of engineering, and he made about 500K a year. So I incorrectly assumed that in order to make that kind of money, I would need advanced degrees or advanced skills. And overcoming these limiting beliefs is a process, and that's part of why I recommend 6 Minutes to Success. It helped me to overcome my limiting beliefs and continues to help me as I go through the training every day. Now let's talk about if you're jumping around from thing to thing. So that's another area where people get stuck. You don't complete what you start, and that's a key thing. And that's why I love 6 minutes. It's because it's 6 minutes, right? It's not going to take an hour a day or 5 hours a day, or it's not a 3-day workshop. It's just 6 minutes every day. I wake up, I come down to my computer in the morning, I make my coffee, I drink my coffee, and I watch this video. 6 minutes, and then I move on to the day. It's very easy to do. I actually miss it when I don't. Sometimes like if I'm on vacation or traveling, I don't, sometimes I sleep in when I'm on vacation and I don't do the 6 minutes and I miss it, and it's because it's become a habit of continuously self-improving. All right, well, we should probably wrap this up because we're getting close to an hour, but I want to leave you with some final thoughts. I want you to someday be financially independent, and I want you to have personal development so you feel good about yourself. And if I get the chance to meet you someday, I'd like you to show me the list of goals you've started and say, hey, here's some I've already checked off. Here's the books I'm reading. Here's what's happening in my life. I'm developing these skills. I'm better this year, better than I was last year. I've got more confidence. My skills are developing. That's what I want for you, and that's why I've taken the time to reach out to you via this video message. Maybe this video will reach you somehow and it will have an impact on your life. And what I'd like to do is hear about it, so please leave me a comment or send me an email, and I'll see you on the next webinar.